Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You know, they say that beauty is only skin deep. However, many top professionals and experts say that when it comes to your career, sometimes beauty is more than skin deep, and that attractive people not only make more money, but get promoted much quicker. It's a very controversial subject, and we're going to get some answers tonight. Tonight on the show, we have former Alabama football player, author, and one of America's leading top surgeons, Dr. Galen McCollough is on the show. Amazing guy. I'm going to get some tips from him. Also, my dear friend Margot Bush is back with us co-hosting. Give her a hand, Margot Bush. We'll be right back.
Come experience Nolan's. Savor award-winning steaks, Greek-style cuisine, fresh local seafood, and an extensive choice of wines. Whether you'd like to reserve the large private dining room, enjoy a meal on an outdoor deck, or rock the night away in our lounge, Nolan's, now celebrating 25 years of exceeding your expectations for casual fine dining, live entertainment, and dancing nightly.
When visiting Gulf Shores, Alabama, make sure to visit the Gulf Coast Zoo, home of the little zoo that could from Animal Planet. Get up close in our petting zoo. Enjoy our unique animal encounters. More than 300 monkeys, bears, reptiles, big cats, parrots, and more call a Gulf Coast home. Come on, go wild at the Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo.
Thank you. Welcome back. I'm here with the lovely Margot Bush, back as our co-host. How are you, Margot?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm jazzed about our show tonight. We have kind of a controversial topic that many people, you know, are extreme this way or this way.
Yeah, but there's a lot of need for it you know, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's out of need more than just
it's out of need more than anything.
Thing.
However, it's okay that we have a little plastic surgery. We don't mind. How about it, women? We're ready.
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, I'm really excited about our show tonight. We have not only former Alabama player here, but very successful author, as well as one of the leading plastic surgeons in the country. So let's bring him out here, Dr. Galen McCollough.
Glad to have you.
And it's great having you. Thanks, Dan. My pleasure. Now, I have to just say, right when I saw you at first, I don't know if you live by your own motto of plastic surgery, but you look good, man. You look really good.
Well, particularly I'm 83 years old.
Oh, well, hey. Well, whatever you're doing is obviously working. Now, there's so much to talk about on the show, but you know, obviously I want to get to what you're doing now, and you are one of America's most renowned plastic surgeons, but also I want to hear a little bit about your background and how you got started. You weren't always, you know, a plastic surgeon, so tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from.
I grew up in a little town called Enterprise, Alabama, over in the southwestern or the southeastern part of the state. My dad was a plumber, and I grew up a little bit in the construction business, I guess you might say, and thought I was going to be an architect, because that was the only person with a white shirt and a tie I ever saw was the architect when he came on the job. And I enjoyed drawing as a child, and so I thought I was going to go to Georgia Tech and play football at Georgia Tech and become an architect. And then Coach Bryant came along and promised me a national championship ring if I went to Alabama, and so I changed my mind, and at Alabama they didn't have an architectural school. So I really went into medicine as a second choice. But as a sophomore in medical school, we had a plastic surgeon come and lecture to our class. And as I sat there and I watched the before and after pictures, I thought to myself, that's architectural medicine.
Oh.
And that's when I decided, as a sophomore in medical school, that this is what I wanted to do. And the face is really the part of the body that's always intrigued me, so I've always limited my practice just to the face.
So when you were playing football, were you already, was it the schooling start after football, or?
Well, I was in undergraduate school. I was in pre-med. And sometimes people ask me, how is it that a football player becomes a doctor? And I say, well, actually, I think I was a a doctor working my way through school playing football.
Right.
That's really the way I look at it.
Well, and I want to mention, too, that you did play with some of the greatest in the game, including Joe Namath. You were center, is that correct?
Correct.
And you played with Joe Namath along with some of the other greats. What was it like playing at that time for Alabama?
We knew that we were part of something big. We just really didn't totally understand it. We didn't know how big it was. It was just a matter of going to practice every day and working hard and then trying to win on Saturdays and then making one win add up, and then lo and behold, at the end of the season, there were championships.
Yeah. Did you ever snap the ball to Joe?
Oh, the whole time.
Man.
We went there together. We were freshmen together and finished eligibility together. So yes, we were contemporaries.
Now, you mentioned too your friendship with Coach Paul Bear Bryant, who is just, I mean, 6-time champion. I mean, just amazing person. And you actually wrote a book regarding that friendship. Tell us what inspired you to author a book on it.
As a player, you really don't know your coach. We were all intimidated by him. He was really an incredible human being. When he walked in a room, he had what we call presence. You could tell the atmosphere in the room changed when he came in. And so later on in life, I got to know him from a totally different perspective. I became one of his doctors, and Coach Bryant had a lot of health issues his last few years. Mm-hmm. And so I was his liaison. I got him in to see the right doctor at the right time and behind the scenes to keep it out of the press. And during that period of time, he confided in me with a lot of his concerns and worries about himself, the University of Alabama, and I never intended to divulge that. But I could see that history was being written incorrectly.
Sure.
A lot of people were taking liberties, and so I waited 22 years before I wrote the book. It's the only book ever written about Coach Bryant by someone who truly knew him.
Yeah, knew him really as a person other than his titles and his football career. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about your transition into becoming a surgeon and also what you're doing now with the Institute. More with Galen McCollough in a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Today offers incredible opportunities, low prices, and extremely low interest rates. Hi, I'm Amy Norris from Amy Sells the Beach. Right now, there are opportunities in all areas. Our team can help you put your money to work finding your dream or investment property. And if you're looking to sell, no one can give you better exposure to buyers and make your property stand out. Experience matters when looking for opportunity. I'm Amy Norris. See why we're #1 at amysellsthebeach.com.
When visiting Gulf Shores, Alabama, make sure to visit the Gulf Coast Zoo, home of the little zoo that could from Animal Planet. Get up close in our petting zoo. Enjoy our unique animal encounters. More than 300 monkeys, bears, reptiles, big cats, parrots, and more call Gulf Coast home. Come on, go wild at the Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo.
Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm talking with Dr. Galen McCollough. Now, you were saying that you had this amazing football career, played with some of the greats, but you're hearing this lecture now in med school, and then really something just clicked and it decided, I mean, your whole future changed. Tell us a little bit more about that time.
I never really knew I wanted to be a doctor. In the beginning, my father used to say, we want you to get all the education that you can, even if you want to be a doctor. And he was always planting that seed. So I was a sophomore in medical school and learning about all the different things that physicians do. And then this plastic surgeon came to lecture one day, and he showed one before and after, right after the other. And I was just so turned on by that I skipped the next 2 classes and I went to the library. I didn't even know that the field of plastic surgery existed. And I went to the library, I pulled down the books, and I started seeing the kinds of things that could be done to faces. And I just said right then, this is it for me. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Well, and you said it was a secondary choice, too, because you wanted to be an architect. And there's something about you know, that architectural, where you look at something and then you look at the before and after, and there's this immense gratification of like, look where it was and look where it is now. So I can see that, you know, you could kind of get that same feeling of saying, I could get involved with these people's lives that need me, and then I could make something, create something beautiful. Not only, you know, as gratification for myself, but really change their life and the way they perceive themselves.
Well, that's exactly right. And we not only change the physical features of an individual, we change their nose or their neck or their face or their ears, but we are really into changing their lives, and we utilize a lot of psychological skills to help improve their self-image.
Well, and that's what I wanted to ask too about what you specialize in. I know that the McCollough Institute for Appearance and Health is one of the largest and luxurious in the country, bar none. And tell us what type of procedures you really focus on.
We do comprehensive plastic surgery. We do body plastic surgery as well as facial plastic surgery. A lot of what we do is aesthetic or cosmetic in nature, but we also do some functional work and some reconstructive surgery as well. And I do the facial surgery, and I have a colleague who does the body procedures.
Yeah, because I guess when you think of plastic surgery, you kind of think of this, you know, this person's being vain. But there is some real functions that are serious that can be corrected through plastic surgery.
Well, oftentimes you hear the word vanity, but I think sometimes we have a misconception of what vanity is. To me, vanity describes an individual who is so obsessed with his or her appearance that it interferes with their ability to go about their daily activities. Yeah. On the other hand, an individual who gets up in the morning and takes a bath and combs their hair and brushes their teeth, coordinates their clothes, and puts their best face or foot forward, that's a matter of personal pride. So I don't look upon that as an individual who's vain.
And how would somebody go about even selecting a plastic surgeon? Because I know not all facelifts, let's say, are the same, or not all surgeons are the same. You know, being raised in the Southern California area, I've seen many people and celebrities even that they've had the worst work done, that it's almost ruined their lives. So what's the procedure of being able to even select the right surgeon?
It's not easy. It really isn't. Probably the single best thing that a person can do, if you know someone who will share with you their story, that they've had plastic surgery, and you inquire about how they went about the selection process and perhaps the different doctors they interviewed, and if you like the result that you see on your friend, then chances are that's a good place to start. The bottom line is, and this is true in any profession, you know, they're talk show hosts and they're talk show hosts and they're talk show hosts. Well, in plastic surgery, there are plastic surgeons and there are plastic surgeons and there are plastic surgeons. Each surgeon generally has something that he or she specializes in. It's a big field, and you can be a specialist in just noses or just breast surgery or just reconstructive breast surgery. Or you might be an expert in facial surgery. So the important thing to do is when you interview the doctor, and that's what it is, you go to see the doctor, you interview him or her as well as they're interviewing you. Ask these questions. Tell me, doctor, tell me how many of the procedures that you're recommending for me do you do in the average week or the average month? How many of these have you done in your career? Who's going to be doing my surgery? Are you going to be doing it, or is one of your associates or a trainee going to be doing the surgery? You'll get some pretty good information if you learn to ask the right questions. So
even if they have a great reputation, they're known for this specific thing, just because they're a good plastic surgeon doesn't mean they're the right fit for the procedure you're having necessarily. So we have to ask our questions.
You want the right doctor for the procedure that you're having done.
Right. Let me ask real quick, what about, who would be a good candidate for a surgery? Age demographic, I mean, is it, talk a little bit about candidacy.
First of all, you start with health. You want to make sure that the individual is in good physical health, but you also want to make sure that he or she is in good mental health, because this is an emotional type of surgery as well. Once we get past the health issue, if all of that checks out, then you want to make sure that they have the right motivations and that they're doing the surgery for the right reasons and that they have realistic expectations. Extremely important that someone realizes what can and cannot be accomplished by surgery, and that's where the surgeon comes in. It's our responsibility to get the person in front of a three-way mirror and show them or demonstrate what can be achieved and what cannot be achieved, And those make for the happiest patients after surgery.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the mental aspect of it too, because we talked a little bit backstage, and you said a lot of your job is also almost therapy of how you get through these things. And I know we have to take a quick break, but when I come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that, because I know that even as a person that coaches people personally or financially, it's a lot of the same thing. A lot of that stems from a different problem, maybe their self-image or things like that. So let's take a quick break, and more with Dr. Galen McCollough in a minute. Stick with us.
Come experience Nolan's. Savor award-winning steaks, Greek-style cuisine, fresh local seafood, and an extensive choice of wines. Whether you'd like to reserve the large private dining room, enjoy a meal on an outdoor deck, or rock the night away in our lounge, Nolan's, now celebrating 25 years of exceeding your expectations for casual fine dining, live entertainment, and dancing nightly.
Hi, I'm Dan Vega, entrepreneur and host of the Gulf Coast's favorite new talk show, Tuesdays with Dan. Join us every Tuesday where we come together and share success principles that will not only help you in your business, but in your personal life. Don't worry, this isn't some boring business talk show. It's an opportunity not only to hear from your favorite entrepreneurs and celebrity guests, but to receive real value every week. Check us out late night after Jimmy Kimmel and The Insider, or at 8 a.m. on My 35. You won't want to miss it.
Real estate today offers incredible opportunities, low prices, and extremely low interest rates. Hi, I'm Amy Norris from Amy Sells the Beach. Right now, there are opportunities in all areas. Our team can help you put your money to work finding your dream or investment property. And if you're looking to sell, no one can give you better exposure to buyers and make your property stand out. Experience matters when looking for opportunity. I'm Amy Norris. See why we're #1 at amysellsthebeach.com.
Thank you. Thank you. We're here with Dr. Galen McCollough, and we're talking a little bit about going in for plastic surgery, not just the physical aspect of it. You said first we want to make sure that the patient or prospective patient's in good health, but the mental, I would imagine, really plays a big vital role in this. You know, I've talked to a personal friend of mine has struggled with, you know, a self-image for a long time, and a lot of these things, they stem pretty far back. We had done some work for about a year, and I said, you know, why is your image of yourself so low? And he said, when I was in like 3rd grade, 8 or 9 years old, we took pictures in our classroom of all the kids, and the teacher projected it up, and a girl sitting in front of me turned around and said, you know, you're really ugly. And it was something that when you're 8 or 9 years old, well, now, almost 40 years or another 30 years, they've really lived with this thing, and it's really as much emotional problem now as it is physical.
Well, an individual like that ends up with very, very deep psychological scars. And it's extremely difficult to, if not totally erase them, to overcome them. But that's part of what we do. Part of our responsibility, of course, is to work on the outside, but we also, in our clinic, we spend a great deal of time working with these patients on the inside. Now, let me say that the vast majority of people who come for plastic surgery, just regular folks. They just realize, as you've indicated earlier, that it's good for them from an economic standpoint and a career standpoint. They just want to feel good about themselves. When they get up in the morning and look in the mirror, they want to feel they want to look as good as they feel. But we do see individuals, like the friend that you mentioned, who have altered self-images. They have very negative self-image because of usually some comment that someone said to them when they were a child. And one of my professors said very well, you can lie down on the psychiatrist's couch for 2 years and learn to live with a problem, a deformity, or you can lie down on the table in 2 hours and have it corrected.
That's great.
That's a great, great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, today, in coming into this, I did a lot of research myself on plastic surgery, and you know, plastic surgery itself is a very controversial subject because a lot of people, you know, they say, well, God gave you this face, or your parents gave you these looks, and you should just live with it. And then there's many others that feel like, hey, if you have this problem, and if it makes you feel better, and it's in your power to do something about it, then you should. But I think on both sides of what I saw, arguments-wise, people take it to the extreme on both sides. And you know, I was reading, and you can get lost in how much information is out there and people commenting on regrets or, you know, how great it was and they should have done it 20 years earlier. But there's these other people that are so extreme that they're in every 6 months, every couple of months, and they almost have like a body dysmorphia. You know, they actually view themselves as fat or, you know, whatever the problem is, and they look perfect, and they just want more and more and more. Have you seen that as well in your profession?
We do. We have a few patients that I often joke with my staff, and if we would do it, they'd lie down every 6 months and let us do something on them.
Oh, wow.
But I put them off. I put them off and put them off and put them off, bring them back and check on them. But I won't do anything to the patient until I think the timing is right and it's going to be worth the money and the risk that are involved with it. And that's the surgeon's responsibility.
Yeah.
When you see a person that has had some of this horrible type surgery that you're talking about and goes overboard, it's the surgeon's responsibility, because you can look at a person in the eye and you can say, no, no, not now, or no, that's enough.
Well, and you think about people that we've seen in the limelight, like let's say Michael Jackson, that, you know, was a great looking kid, and all of a sudden just more and more and more, and then it looks like, you know, he almost has to hide because his looks are just...
Well, Michael ended up not looking African American or looking Caucasian. He didn't look like a man. He didn't look like a woman. He became a creation.
Yeah.
And you see there's some others out there. And once again, I think that's the surgeon's responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because I think that at some point, some surgeons just, they might be starstruck and say, well, how can I say no to this? But it is, you got to say, hey, enough is enough.
You're a doctor first, you're a surgeon second.
That's a great point, a great point. Let's talk briefly, let's hit on some of these things. If people have like the puffiness, I know that I have a few friends that no matter how much sleep you get, it seems like you can't.
I'm beginning to see some of that in you.
That's tired, my friend. We're going to talk afterwards.
We'll just bring it all out. Hey, what can you fix on us?
What can you do for me, Doc? I sleep a lot. But if they have like the puffiness under their eyes.
Well, actually, it's anatomic. There's a membrane that holds the fat back into the eye socket. If a person has allergies, or if an individual rubs their eyes a great deal, or if you go through a very sad period in your life and you have an extreme amount of crying, that membrane that holds the fat back in place is stretched, and the fat then eventually moves forward like a hernia, and it will simply lie there until you remove it surgically.
Yeah, and then if somebody comes into your office that says, okay, I want the, you know, I have this feature that I'm not satisfied with. Let's say their nose, and they say, I want to have the Meg Ryan button nose. But let's say on a more serious note, they have legitimate breathing problems. Mm-hmm. I mean, could they actually come in for a procedure to, you know, maybe a sculpting of their nose, but leave with fixing a more serious problem like a breathing problem?
Well, I have dual training. I went through an ENT residency first, and then I went into the plastic training and a fellowship. So I'm as concerned about the function as I am the appearance. And the answer is yes, breathing problems, sinus difficulty, headaches. You'd be surprised how many people who have headaches every day never had the inside of their nose examined. And we see it once or twice a month where we correct the deviated septum, and the headaches either go away totally or become less frequent and less severe. And it can change a person's life.
Oh,
let's talk briefly about anesthesia. For these type procedures, is it like a bottle of whiskey and go, or is it as serious as other procedure? What would they be looking at for something like this?
Depends on the procedure. For most facial procedures, we use what's called a twilight type of anesthesia, but the patient has no recollection whatsoever of having the surgery. We use local anesthetics as well as sedation. Now, for the body procedures, for liposuction, breast surgery, tummy tucks, that's generally done under a general anesthesia. But oftentimes we can do the procedures together. I might be doing a facial procedure where my colleague Dr. Harris is doing a body procedure, and that saves the patient time and money. But most of it in the facial work is not a general anesthetic. We can do it under twilight sleep. Patient has no recollection, absolutely painless.
And the recovery time, I know, is very quick with some of those procedures. Also, let's say our viewers out there are saying, you know, your point was take years to learn to live with it, or a couple of hours, and they could actually fix this problem. Maybe I'm thinking about having a procedure, but before I commit, are there non-surgical procedures that people can kind of try out first before going under the knife, so to speak?
There are. At the McCollough Medical Spa at the Institute, we offer non-surgical procedures, the injectable therapies, Botox or the fillers that can be done, and then there are other skin care treatments that we can do to more polish the skin. Most of those superficial treatments don't really get rid of wrinkles, but they polish the skin and make it look better, and so it can postpone the surgery. But you have to look at a little bit of the cost, because if you continue to do the non-surgical things over a period of time, you will have spent more money than you would have had you had the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure that you ask good, hard questions of your surgeon and look at not only the results, but the cost of the procedures that you're in.
I was doing some research today. It said that there's a professor of economics at the University of Texas said that attractive people obviously are hired sooner, promoted quicker, and it said they're paid up to 3 to 4% more, and over a lifetime, that would easily be $230,000 from an attractive person versus somebody that wasn't as attractive, and that was also backed up by the Wall Street Journal.
Well, Aristotle was the first to record it, but Aristotle said a pleasing appearance is more important than any letter of introduction. And so if you think about it, if you get ready to go to apply for a job and you've got a nice letter of introduction from someone of substance, so to speak, when you walk in the door, the way you look when you walk through that door is more important than that resume. And you can either build upon that initial impression or you have to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
So appearance does count.
Well, the book is called The Appearance Factor, How Enhancing Your Appearance Could Lift Your Spirits, Improve Your Health, and Tilt the Scales of Opportunity in Your Favor. And I have to say, I was really enthralled going through this, the pictures of the before and afters. I mean, it was really got me thinking about what can I get to, but it was really, really good stuff. And this book obviously is available everywhere on Amazon, but also give us your website again of where we can actually go get the e-version and download the book.
Of course, www.McColloughPlasticSurgery.com. You can download the entire book on the internet, and the book's free of charge.
Oh,
if you want a free copy, write to us or call us at our telephone number 251-967-7000, and we'll send you one, or you can stop by and pick it up.
Well, great stuff. I recommend to pick up the book. And Dr. McCollough, thank you so much for coming on. It was a real pleasure. Come back anytime, would you? Guys, that's our show. And real quick, to become a member of our studio audience, email us at info@tuesdayswithdan.com, or you can check out our website. Also, don't forget to get involved in your local community and be forgiving of others. Good night, everybody.